At this point, we are going to work on the ERW Advanced Directed Exercise 10 Event Rule Variables. And I can't show you it, but the exercises say a report is needed that displays a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of fields, and then it says the general ledger, the two of the fields do not reside in the same business view as the other fields. So a subsection join will be needed. And then it says a comments and media object column should be added to either indicate if a voucher is not in balance or display comments attached to a voucher. Totals for the voucher amount and the general ledger amount are needed to determine if the voucher is not in balance with the general ledger. Performance objective. Data that resides in one section of a report might be better displayed in another section of that report. Event rule variables will be used to accomplish this task, and the media object text is associated with the parent section, but needs to appear in the level break footer section. So we're going to go all through all of that. The following report also includes a column that will display either comments or media object text based on a processing option. So the first thing we're going to do is since the user has a choice of two different columns to display, we're going to create a processing option to determine whether to print the comments or media object data, and to determine which address number the user wants to include in the report. So first, I've created a project here. I'm going to go into design real quick. You can pause it here and create the project if you want to match me exactly. I am going to add a processing option, which is a data structure. And it's going to be T550411, which is AP to A/P to GL detail. Product code is going to be 55, but the AP is 04, so we're going to override that 04. We're going to call this a processing option template and say okay. And we're going to go into processing option design aid. Okay, so this first tab is going to be the default tab. So we're going to change it from new tab to defaults. And so, okay. And then we're going to add a new tab, which is going to be display tab. Okay, so first I'm going to go to defaults and I'm going to add a comment. And it's going to be enter the default address number for which you would like to display data. And then I'm going to drop in an AN8 filled in there. We're just going to, now I'm going to change the name of the field to, it has MN address number, but I'm going to call it this. Well, actually, I'm going to actually start it with a PO, display address number, and then AN8. And I'm say OK. And that's the address number. Then we're going to go to the additional tab, display tab. And we're going to add a comment to that. Now, it doesn't always have to be a comment. A lot of times you can put the comment information right in the field as an explanation, but not here. Choose whether to display the comment column of the report or the media object column. And then we're going to use EV01, which is Everest event point 1. And we're going to give it some direction. Enter a 1 to display the comment column. Enter a 2 to display the media object column. The default is to display neither column. There we go, and I'm going to go in and change the name of this to, now they say to say display, I'm going to go PO display underscore EV01 and done. And that is good. So we're going to go ahead and save that. But I did save it. Okay. All right. So we have the processing option value. Now we're going to add the report, which is a batch application. it's going to be R550411 and AP to GL detail 5504. It's an update report. Say okay. It's going to be a columnar. Find the business view myself. It's going to be V0411G as in golf. Okay, so we're going to add doc, DCT, KCO, SFX, AN8, and we're going to add it. So we have two options here. I always like to add them all from the same table if possible, since all the others are in the 411. I'm going to grab the 411 version of AN8. Then there's the div J and amount gross. Okay. And then for data sequencing, we're going to do it by doc type, KCO, SFX, and we're going to define the doc as a level break footer. And we're not going to do any data selection at this time. But we do want a version, so we're going to ver 0001 and finish it. And then we're going to change the columns to match the example that we're given in the exercise. So I'm going to, on another screen, I'm going to show myself the output. And it's going to be dot type, dot company, it's going to be pay item, supplier number, invoice date, voucher amount, okay, and then it also has GL amount, which I don't have a column yet for. So. Okay, so the next part's going to be a little confusing. So you're just going to have to follow along a little blindly right now with this. Okay, So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a constant field here, and we're going to name the heading GL amount. And I started to do it wrong, so I don't want to, I want to leave the variable name blank to leave the column data blank and say, okay, then I'm going to add an alpha variable. This is an alpha variable. Column to fall after the GL amount column. Name the column heading. We're going to call this variable heading, and we're going to leave these blank and say okay. And I am going to shrink these in just a little bit. There we go. And it says we need not name the variable because the actual data will appear in the level break footer. And it says save your template early and often. Then now we're going to add processing options. So we're going to go to File, select processing options. And we're going to look for the T550411. And I think we had an A in there, I'm not sure. 255, that's why I can't see it. Okay, 411. So I'm going to say, okay. And we have it attached. So now we're going to work on putting in the event rules for dealing with the processing options. So let's think about this. If a user leaves the address number field blank in the processing option, what is going to happen? Well, if the address number is 0, I thought we were told to search all address book numbers if we were to when the address book number is 0 and we were to search only on the address number that was provided by the processing option, the system would see it as searching for a 0. And since there are no address book numbers which are 0, the report should come out blank. But the desired result is that if the user leaves the processing option blank, we want it to process the records for all address numbers. So we have to think about the code on that. So with this section highlighted, we're going to go into event rule design, right mouse click event rules. And in the initialize section is now this part is my special stuff. This is what I like to do, and not necessary. This is the artsy side of it. I like moving all of the processing option values into report variables. So I'm going to do that. So I know we have an EV01, which we call it's a character type, PO display, and it's underscore EV01. We're going to make it a report. And then we have AN8, which in our case is going to be the supplier number. So this is an MN, and it's a processing option, and it's address number AN8. We're going to make it report wide. And so in here, we're going to have to, this is where we need to set the VA variable. So PO display is going to actually equal the processing option value. And X equals the other one is the address number. Type a P there, type a P again. Oops. To get the PO display address number. Another comment just to separate it. Now I noticed in the processing option, I have display address number, but I don't in the VA variables. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. So I can go in here and say display address number, finish. And if I double click in here, it's now corrected. Just say OK. All right, so there I have it. So now for the processing option event rule stuff, I want to say if, and then the address number, which is now a VA variable. If address number is not equal to 0, then I am going to go in to the system functions and do set selection append flag, which is under general set selection append flag. So what this does, this is a system function which says, okay, if the users have set data selection out there, you can set the append flag. If you set it to yes, then it will say it will add this data selection to the other data selection that you add, that you set when you run it. Okay. If you say no, then this says disregard what user data selection is, only use what's in the event rules. So we're going to do set selection of pan flag, and we're going to say yes. So we're going to give both people both the option. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually set the selection here. So we're going to do a system function general set user selection. And we're going to say where address number, and that's the A and 8. And I'm choosing the F0411 A and 8, even though it really wouldn't make a difference which of these two A and 8s I chose, because they have to equal based on the business view. But I'm going to double click it. It populates it in there. And I'm going to say, I want the user selection to find any address number that is equal to, and then I'm going to say the PO address number. Now I could go down to the PO display address number, but if you remember, I'm doing something a little different, and I put it into a VA variable. And then for the and or, I would just say, oh, you know, until you really understand what's going on. I've spent days and days learning this stuff, just the data selection here, and it can be, for the easiest thing is to just say select and every time. And then since we don't have an else case, I'm going to highlight the else and delete it. Now, if the system let's see. So again, if this address number is greater than 0 or not equal to 0, and if it's not 0, it means it's an actual value. And so what we're doing is we're setting the data selection to process the address number that's in the processing options. Okay. So there we have that. Now we're going to add, I'm going to save early, save off, and now we're going to add a subsection join. So set focus on the columnar section, and I'm going to create section, create subsection join, and it's going to be a group. Find the business view myself, and we're going to attach V0911 G golf. And the 911 is the general ledger. This is a crazy field table. This is like everyone's checkbook. So it's important that we don't put data in there willy-nilly. But okay, so I have the business view, and the fields that we want from this business view are ANI, and the amount field, which I believe, Here's the amount field. And I'm going to say next. And now we're going to join. So we're going to join the parent to the AP detail reports. And we're going to join the doc type, and document company. So I'm going to find, there's doc. So I'm going to find document voucher. Doc. Okay. Then I'm going to join doc type. DCT for 911 matches to DCT for 411. There's 411. And then document company, QCO. And same thing for the 411. There's the QCO for the 411. And then we're going to say join only at level breaks defined in the parent section, and finish. So next we're going to start modifying this a little bit. We're going to actually separate the amount label from the amount field. So I'm going to click on here, highlight, and hit disconnect and delete the amount. And then I'm going to change the name of this variable to the GL amount. Okay. And just for grins, I know that that's going to go somewhere over here. Now I just noticed that I think I got this wrong. I thought I was supposed to call this GL amount. I'm going to go back and check my notes and see if that's correct, but I'm going to save it at the moment. Yes, so this should say GL amount. GL amount. Okay. And then I'm going to delete the variable name. And you can kind of get the idea that, hey, the report is going to kind of show this number down here in the subsection join in the GL amount. So people are going to see this and think, oh, well, that's just the GL amount. So I think we're back on the right track here. All right, so next we're going to add a level break footer. So I'm going to highlight the main section and do a section, create level break footer. And it's going to be a group section, only display the existing sort columns. And we're going to select the document. So I'm going to make sure that's highlighted and hit next. And then I don't think this is going to work, but what operator is needed? We want total. Yeah, it doesn't give us an option here. So it's not actually going to give to. So we're going to have to come back and do that programmatic tally that we did in a previous example. So in reviewing the output of the report, I see that this level break footer here is going to show the total amounts of the voucher amount and the GL amount. So we're going to have to add two fields here. So I am going to do this manually, I am going to grab a number and I'm going to, let's see, try and line this up. And I'm going to call this first one total voucher amount. And then I'm going to click that, select number again, put it over here. And we're going to call this one total GL amount. Okay, so since we can't use the aggregates in this, wait a minute, I wonder if I can, so let me see if I can insert an aggregate. No, he's not going to give me one to fill, so I'm going to hit cancel right now. So, okay, so now the voucher amount is getting added every time there's a due event. And the GL amount is getting added every time there's a due event for that section. So I am going to make both of these global so that these two variables can be seen from elsewhere in the report. So I'm going to highlight this one, go to properties, advanced global variable, and then the same thing for this one. All right, so now I have to keep in mind that I need to zero these out once they have been displayed. So the easy way to take care of that would be after I've printed it, set it to 0. So that's gonna be the easy part. So I'm gonna say event rules. I'm gonna go to after last object printed, add my customary first line comment, and I'm gonna say RV total GO amount equals 0, and RV total voucher amount equals 0. So now after the level break footer prints out, it's going to 0 them. So I've got that taken care of. Now, every time it displays it up here, I need to add this value to this value, to the total variable. So if I go into the do section, add my customary thing, and then I'm going to say RV total voucher amount equals, go to f of x, total voucher amount plus, and then it was a regular BC voucher amount, business view voucher amount. So look for amount here. I believe it was amount gross. So I'm going to just put that in as a placeholder and make sure I'm doing the right thing. So I'm going to save and exit out of here. And then I'm going to look at this. And indeed, it is the amount gross. Okay, so I got that right. So in the do section, I have hopefully successfully created a subtotal. And then I'm going to do the same thing in the subsection. Go to event rules, go to do section. And I'm going to say RV total GL amount equals RV total GL amount plus, and then that was another RV field, I believe. Let's see. It was a GL amount. Was it the AA? I don't remember. So I'm going to select that as a placeholder right now, just so I don't lose that thing. And this is AA amount. Okay, so that works out as well. It's a variable property. Yes. Well, let's see. Yes, and it's a value from the account ledger. So it's a business view of a business view field because it's the table name is populated. So we're good there. Okay. So this, it looks like we're pretty close on the level break footer. We're going to have more to do but this is a good breaking point for right now, other than we're going to go in and put a single line over both the voucher total and the GL amount total under style. And I'm going to save that. I'm going to exit. And then I am going to real quick see. I'm going to exit bar over here on the left. If I want to quickly glance at the report. And see if there's a supplier number 4344. So I'm going to change this to 4344, say OK. And I'm going to run it just to verify that we get output. And looks like we are getting output. I would probably like a little more space separating the totals. The totals here from the next field's values. And so let me show you that real quick. Come back in here, go back into design aid. And one of the things I can do, so I'm going to highlight the level break footer, and I'm going to put a constant down here. And then I am going to just make it a space. And so what this is going to do is the printer knows that it needs to print the space. So it's going to account for all this distance. And I'm going to save, and I can go right to version list. Submit. There, so it's displayed a little better. You see the difference there between this. It's hard to see where the separation of the data is, and here it's much more clear. So there we have it. That's a good breaking point for now. Next, we are going to certainly work on the part where we're actually going to put in the comments and the media objects, or we're going to do media objects, and then some event rules for the parent section. But this is good for now.